Hello, everybody. It is Friday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Adam Bittner, assistant sports editor for multimedia at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, joined by Jason Mackey, our Post-Gazette sports columnist, for our weekly entry on the Penn State channel, talking about the Nittany Lions as they wind down their non-conference schedule here. They'll be playing Villanova this week. Jason, last week they play FIU, a somewhat tepid victory. They win impressively enough that it didn't really raise any hackles on the national stage, but I think locally some Penn State fans have some angst about how Penn State played. Let me set it up this way. How many questions has Penn State meaningfully answered for you in the non-conference portion of the schedule? And can they answer those questions, or do they just have to get to Oregon here in a couple of weeks before we're going to know anything?
Yes. I don't feel like I know anything more about this Penn State team that I didn't know, early on. I guess I liked the offense, this latest iteration of Drew Allar, but I mean, how much are we learning from a great second half against FIU and a slow start? How much are we learning from them handling business against Nevada? I wish Penn State's early season schedule was different, Adam. I mean, we talked about it over on the Pitt channel. Like, play somebody. Maybe that's a popular sentiment among Penn State fans. Maybe it's going to get me crushed. I don't know, but I want to see a better early season test than Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. I think this can be the best team in the country. I really do. And I think we saw with Notre Dame last year, an early season slip up doesn't cost you as much in a 12-team playoff. I want to see them take somebody on, but I don't know. I mean, there are little victories, I guess, right? Like last week, Nicholas Singleton had a much bigger game. Not that anybody thought that the running game was going to be a problem. Like, they do have tight end talent. Those guys weren't utilized much against Nevada. Come out a little bit more against FIU, and they're productive. Dennis Sutton looks like he's really making a run at being the best defensive player in college football. Did I struggle to know any of that stuff early on? No. Devonte Ross was really good last week. They have wide receivers this year. They didn't have wide receivers last year. So I don't feel like I've learned a lot more. You're closer to this stuff than me. What do you think? Do you think that they any different than they were a month ago for you?
Not particularly. I think there's been encouraging performances. I think we've seen different things from these receivers. In particular, Devonte Ross has the Moss catch for a touchdown against FIU. Kyron, Hudson, Trebor, Pena both looked really good against Nevada.
Maybe more receiving talent out, Adam. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's maybe one thing that these guys have come as advertised.
Yeah, and the question is, are they going to go invisible like Penn State's receivers did against Notre Dame and like they have against these better teams the last handful of years, pretty much since Jahan Dotson left? I think I have a higher baseline level of hope that you're going to be able to rely on one of those guys. I don't know which one it is yet, but I think it's probably the best trio they've had in some time. The question is anyone a true number one there? That type of thing. Jason, you mentioned the schedule. I know it's bothering you. I did want to point out Penn State was supposed to play Virginia Tech in this spot. The first game was going to be in 2020. The second game was going to be in 2025. 2020 game gets canceled because of COVID. That leaves you with this weird 1-year interregnum where pretty much your only option is to go play a neutral site game if you're going to play a major opponent. I guess I don't blame Penn State for that. They've played Auburn. The last handful of teams they played in succession were 4 years against Pitt, 2 years against Auburn, 2 years against West Virginia. I feel like they've generally held up their end of the bargain on the schedule front. I know the future is not looking quite as bright. I think they got Temple and Syracuse as the signatures of the non-conference moving forward, but I don't know. It's going to be a conversation we have all year, but I'm not blaming them for not having a marquee opponent lined up based on just how things played out with the pandemic.
I mean, I get it. Yeah, I'm with you. I'd kind of like to see maybe one of the other ones be a little tougher, but I mean, they're going to get into the thick of the Big Ten schedule soon enough. And once they get to Oregon, I feel like all bets are off at that point, and we're not that far away from that one. That's going to be their first actual game. I mean, you go at UCLA, Northwestern at home, at Iowa, at Ohio State. Like, nowhere around that time are we going to talk about Penn State having too soft of a schedule or anything like that. So this
unless
is
they
probably
lose two of them. Unless they lose two of them, then we're going to be talking. Then that's where the schedule becomes a factor on whether you're going to get in or not.
What? Unless they lose to who?
Let's say you lose to Oregon and Ohio State, and your signature win is Iowa, and who knows how that turns out. Iowa just lost last week against Iowa State.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. But that would be true independent of an early season soft schedule or not, right? Like for Penn State to get into the playoff, they have to beat one of the two. You're not going to take a 2-loss Big Ten team that didn't beat. I wouldn't think so. Anyway, the way the Big Ten looks right now, right?
Well, I mean, it ended up being enough last year, right? You lost to Oregon and Ohio State. Granted, you went 11-1, and you lost one of those teams in the Big Ten title game, so that's a little bit different. But I don't think the resume would be hugely different between 10-2 and 11-1, other than possibly, you'd lose to two of the top 4 teams in the country.
Yeah, I'm thinking through this too. That was just something that just kind of popped into my head, and that would include a win over Indiana. That would include a win over Iowa. Yeah, I mean, I guess they could get in there. Just some things fell their way. I mean, part of it is what Ohio State's lost to Michigan last year, impacted their seeding as well. I mean, it wasn't can't really count on that happening. I wouldn't.
True. Jason, we'll talk a little bit about Drew Allar. Where do you rank him among the draftable QBs right now? I know lots of local fans are interested from a Steelers perspective, but I think it's also interesting if you're a Penn State fan of how does he stack up with these guys in this QB class that he chose to stay in, could have gone last year with a weaker group, chose not to. How are you feeling about him, especially after the comments from him saying he was overthinking things last week against FIU, and James Franklin talking about the need to flush bad plays and move forward? I think it's a little frustrating that you're having that conversation about this guy as a senior at this point.
What's that? That he's overthinking things?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd rather have that conversation now. I'd rather him, make mistakes, force things, think too much now, and learn it, and then develop throughout the season. But no, I like the move for Allar to come back. I think it's much more wide open this season. Believe it or not, I do, with the way Penn State's offense is, what they can accomplish. He can really improve his draft stock. I mean, he can become, with a good year, a unquestionable top 10 pick, in my opinion. Where he ranks, I mean, I think he's over Cade Klubnik at this point. I think he's probably over Arch Manning at this point. Garrett Nussmeier probably is ahead of Drew Allar. I think you can maybe make it a push. I mean, John Mateer, has he sort of come out of nowhere and leapfrog people? I don't know. LaNorris Sellers is up there for me. I mean, that's somebody who just lines up with the Steelers' playing style and where they might pick a little bit more than Drew Allar. But I'm trying to think of people that I would genuinely put ahead of Drew at this point. And I know it sounds crazy. I mean, you're going to put Drew Allar as the number 1 quarterback in the country, or the top overall drafted quarterback. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we could be there at the end of this thing. I do. I think it's at least a possibility.
Well, especially if Arch Manning does not come out. And I think that's still an open...
Or if Arch Manning isn't good.
Right. Or if Arch Manning is in the position where Drew Allar was a year ago, and that he would benefit from coming back for another year. And certainly Texas has the NIL capability. Listen, I think if the draft was today, people would take Arch Manning number 1 on projectability alone, on that name, on the pedigree. I think he would still be the number 1 quarterback. But if he's not in the class, which I think there's still a decent chance he might not be, I don't think it's preposterous to talk about Drew Allar as the number 1 guy in that group. Do I think he's there yet? No. I think there's going to be some separating, especially as you get into conference play. But you just also do want the mental hurdles to be cleared at this point, especially as you're getting into that portion of the schedule. Jason, how confident are you in the running game after seeing Kaytron and Nick Singleton get a little bit more volume, both in terms of touches and production overall? Kaytron Allen has that big, long touchdown. It's near 150 yards for the day.
Yeah. I mean, my confidence is higher, but truth be told, I was never that worried. I think I said that on here with you. I mean, they're suddenly not going to forget how to run the football. Last year they were 1A or 1B in terms of running back tandems. I think it was kind of a slow week. I think they were more interested in establishing the pass, and I'm talking about Nevada, not necessarily FIU, with the new wide receivers. I think you saw them found their rhythm a little bit more. I mean, Truth be told, I don't have a lot of questions about Penn State, Adam, other than, play better competition and see what happens, and we'll evaluate then. But boy, the near bottom of my list is whether they can run the football. I think that's one thing that Penn State's absolutely going to be able to bank on. Now, I don't know. Does Drew Allar play well in big games? Totally valid question. Do they have enough talent coming back on defense? Are they able to scheme it up? Another valid question. But I was very impressed with the running game against FIU. I thought that's more how it should look. Direct, sharing the ball, utilizing both of those guys.
Jason, what are your feelings about how this national championship race is playing out? Our friends at FanDuel have 5 teams between 6-1 and 8-1. Penn State is the second favorite behind Ohio State at plus 650. I think Oregon, LSU, Texas, all in that mix. With what you've seen these first couple of weeks, does it seem maybe more open than it did at the start of the season, where you were kind of looking at Texas as this clear number one for a lot of people?
I don't think it's changed that much for me, Adam. I thought Texas was overranked when it debuted as number one. Now, did I think Texas was going to lose its perch as quickly? No. I have some doubts about Clemson, who was up there and then, did not perform terribly well in week one. I do think it's more wide open. But I kind of always thought that way. Like I've had Penn State in the conversation. Ohio State's obviously going to be in the conversation. I think LSU's right there. You can make a case for LSU to be the number one team in the country at this point. I don't know if Miami gets there. I don't believe in the ACC and Miami as much. But I'm not also, take that conversation another way. I don't think Penn State is that far off from any of these teams. I just think Penn State has been dinged because it hasn't played anybody early on. If Penn State takes down Oregon in 2 weeks, or less than 2 weeks, 9 days, something like that. I can't do math. Math's hard. More than that, I think we'll have a different discussion.
Yeah, and Oregon looked great. Oregon's looked a lot better, I think, than Texas has. So it makes you wonder if Penn State is able to beat Oregon at home. Does it then have the argument it needs against Ohio State to be the number one team in the country? I think that's going to be an interesting debate if Penn State can get that win. But we're still a long way from that. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. A lot more Penn State talk coming your way from myself, from Jason, from Isaiah Maldonado, who works on the Nittany Lions for us as well. So subscribe to the channel. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm. And we will talk to you again next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.